In the solution for the lab exercise, let's start with the Android manifest. As described in the lab exercise, it is very important to declare that this application uses the permission Android permission Internet, so that the web view will be able to access the Internet and load their content. Let's start with the fragment dealing with the web content, which we called preview fragment. We see that this fragment extends the support fragment, and that it loads a layout fragment preview. Let's take a quick look at that layout now. In this layout, we have a simple fragment with the web view that takes up most of the screen, and then below that an edit text and a button. This will be for adding the new URL to the list, but we'll get to that shortly. Let's go back to the Java code. In the preview fragment, we obtain the web view and turn on JavaScript and set a default web client as explained in the exercise so that we can handle loading URLs. We also obtain the edit text and set an onClick listener for the button to send a message to our activity and notify the list fragment that we have a new item to add. We then return this whole view to our activity so this fragment can be displayed. We notify our activity by calling a content request listener that we set in our onAttach to our activity, similar to the previous examples. In an onContent change request, we receive from the activity that we need to change the content of our web view. So we call our web view and call the method loadURL to the new URL that should be loaded. Now let's take a look at the fragment containing our list, which in this solution we called URL list fragment. We can see that this fragment extends from the support list fragment, allowing us to easily manage a list of items within the fragment. When it is created, we grab the list of items from our URL strings array, which is stored in an XML file, and initialize an array adapter and set it by calling setListAdapter. We also store the array as a member of this fragment for later usage in editing and adding items. Similarly, in the onAttach, we assign our interface to communicate with the activity. We also add a callback for when an item is clicked so that we can notify our activity accordingly. And we have a callback when the activity needs to inform us to add a new item, in onItemAdd. We then take our list of items, add the new item, and then regenerate our list by creating a new adapter and recalling setListAdapter. Now let's take a look at our main activity. In our main activity, we set our content and set references to our preview fragment and our list fragment. Note that if we are on our phone device that our preview fragment may not be present, so this element may be null since it is not presented in the phone. When the list fragment informs the activity that its content is changed, we check that the preview fragment is available. If so, then we send it a notification. In the case of being run on a phone or smaller device, we create an intent and we start a new activity called the preview activity. We'll look at this activity in a moment. When we receive a request to add a new item to the list via the add new content item, we add it to our list fragment. We'll see shortly that when in portrait mode on the phone, the new activity is opened and will return a result if a new URL is added. That result is captured in the method onActivityResult, and then it is sent to the list fragment. Now let's take a look at our preview activity, which is only available for smaller devices when running in landscape mode. Our preview activity contains the preview fragment and loads it with the URL received from the intent called when starting this activity. When a new URL item is selected to be added by the user, we create an intent with that URL and then we set it as a result so it can be returned to our initial activity, our main activity for adding to the list. Then we call finish, and this URL will be sent back to the main activity. Thank you for joining us in the solution to the Fragment Lab exercise. Join us in our next lesson where we will take a look at user navigation in Android.